To introduce our first inductee, I'd like you to welcome Athletic Director of Dalhousie University Agricultural Campus, formerly NSAC, and CCAA President from 1990 to 94 and 2010 2012, Judy Smith.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce an outstanding ACAA coach who is being inducted into the CCAA Hall of Fame. And I was thinking as I was sitting at the table this evening, I just wish that I had had the information I gained tonight before I wrote this. Bucky, or the Little General, as his players called him, has ACAA championships and CCAA medals, including the ACAA first and for many years only gold, 1978 in Montreal with men's hockey. His players remember him as a great teacher. They remember his systems approach to hockey, a new concept to many when Bucky took the reins of a talented but raw group of players and molded them into national champions. They knew he loved coaching and that he loved his guys. Nothing he liked better than a good laugh, and they recognized that after a tough practice, because there would always be a chance to have a time of fun and laughter with the General. Under his guidance, they learned a great deal about the game, but just as important, they felt a mutual respect and support for their endeavors in life. And that support and concern extended well beyond their playing years. I did actually talk to a couple of his athletes, and some of the stories they told me I can't repeat, although I'd really like to. But in respect to the evening, I better not. Those of us fortunate enough to be at numerous CCAA championships remember Bucky and his consistent use of white Cadillacs to transport the team's support staff. We always knew when the Capers were on site. You can read the many accolades Bucky has received over the years, but what his athletes recall, in addition to the on-ice success, was the support they received from him through university in starting their careers and beyond. Some of us remember the stories, the laughs, the professional but fun approach he took in all that he did, and the one consistent question he asked at every ACAA meeting. Judy, did you get the chores done before you came? And don't laugh. The first thing he did in retirement, he moved to a hobby farm with cattle, horses, and other rookie-friendly animals. So, Bucky, did you get the chores done before you came today? A truly worthy induction, the ACAA's first gold medal, coach, a gold medal character, Dr. Carl Bucky Buchanan. Please come forward, Bucky.
It is Bucky Buchanan. We were driving here, and we stopped for gas. And God bless my wife, she got out and put the gas in. I went into use the restroom, and I asked them where it was, and they said around there. They said, "Oh, Mike, you're home for the weekend." I said, "Mike, I'm Bucky from Sussex." "Oh, gosh, I thought you were Mike Duffy." And that's not the worst of it. We go to check in today, and Ann's going to park the car. We unpack our bags, and I go up to say, I hope our reservation's ready and so on. She looked over and she says, "I don't have Mike Duffy down here." So then I begin to think my wife's playing jokes on me or something, because that's happened a couple times. Of course, she loves it, eh? Every time it happens. Well, you know, I want all of you to know that I had a full head of hair, and I used to be 6'3" before I took the job at Cape Breton. And I feel a little bit like the mosquito that flew into the nudist colony. He was delighted to be there, but he wasn't sure where to start. I'd like to congratulate the other inductees tonight and the selection committee for the hard work I know they do. I know it's never easy. And I would like to say how fortunate that I feel to have been associated with the CCAA over the years. One of the things I cherish is the friendships. We still talk to guys that I met 40 years ago, and on the phone, and sometimes to inform each other who's passed on, etc. And the competition that we had as the College of Cape Breton Capers. My teams were fortunate enough to play in every province in Canada as a CCAA team. And in those days, we were very fortunate the government paid for most of the travel. I think at one time they paid for 21 athletes in hockey. Judy could tell you that for sure, but I think it was that way. And it was an education for a lot of our student athletes who had never been off Cape Breton Island. So when we flew into Calgary or Edmonton, we played Camrose College. It's changed names now, like a lot of things have. Played in Moose Jaw, played in Edmonton, played in Oakville, Ontario, Montreal, Quebec, British Columbia on a couple of occasions. So what we tried to always do was go a couple days early and stay a couple days late. And I had an assistant with my team that we'd visit a library or some building of significance in the town we visited. And for that reason, this organization, for some of us that are old guys, appreciate what you people have continued and improved on and are doing for all the other student athletes you represent. I know you're probably, like I was, that for 32 years it was the happiest moments of my life when I'd go to work. And I probably didn't appreciate as much then. I've been retired now for 12 years, and retirement's great. But the one thing I miss most is the camaraderie with the student athletes and the other coaches and the kinds of experiences you have with them. I want to thank specifically Judy Smith, Kenny Merchant for nominating me, and thank the selection committee who met and selected me. I also would like to introduce my table for a minute. I'll start with my assistant coach, Ann, my wife. As of Friday, she's been my assistant coach for 50 years. And thank God she doesn't send notes anymore. Now she talks to me. She used to send me notes on the bench. Have you thought about playing Joey Andrea on the right point? And I'd get home, she'd say, why didn't you play Joey Andrea on the right point? But she's been there through thick and thin, and I appreciate her support. Lots of times, as you know, as coaches, you're on the road a lot, particularly weekends. I have 4 daughters, or we have 4 daughters, and she was pretty well the CEO all the time when I was away, and on those trips. And at home, of course, she had the best seat in the house right behind my bench. So I thank her for all her involvement. Also at that table is my nephew, Brent Buchanan, and his wife, Rosie. And Brent, on the side of the thing, is in the Country Music Hall of Fame here in New Brunswick. And you probably, if you're in the country, you'll listen to his program tomorrow morning, and again up until, I think, noon, if you're on tomorrow, Brett? 10. And and also my brother Richard, he's the one with the money in the family. And of course, Ronald Flaherty. Ron and I go way, way back. I could tell you some stories when we're on the road about Quebec City, but I won't. And of course, my good friend, great athletic director, more importantly, great person, Jimmy Smith. Not going to stand there. There you go. And the last person I would like to introduce you to is been a boyhood friend, teammate, stood at my wedding, or our wedding here. And anytime there was something rough, I seemed to be in it, but I'd always duck, and he'd always get the punch. But he was an outstanding athlete that was good to be able to call a teammate. He had an outstanding career in soccer, basketball, and hockey. He was a goaltender in hockey. I tried to put the puck in the net. He tried to keep it out. Tom Hanley. I'm just going to tell you two stories about the Capers because I think that you would appreciate them. We live in a part of the world where one Cape Bretoner takes care of the other pretty seriously. And we happened to be playing a national championship in Camrose. We went out a day early and practiced. And Joe Wojciech was the coach, for those that may remember Joe. And Camrose had some great teams. They were the Camrose Vikings in those days. And the night before our first game, we asked our players for a 11 o'clock curfew. And our guys were good. They usually honored the curfew and all the things I asked of them. So most of them had gone to bed, or at least were in their own rooms at 11 o'clock. So I turned in and went to bed. Well, 2 o'clock, knock came to my door, and I thought, God, who's that? I go to the door, and it's the chief of police from Camrose. He said, you the coach? I said, yes, I am. He said, well, I think your team is down at the hotel raising hell. I said, oh, God. So he said, I want you to come down with me and identify them. He said, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. He said, with them. So anyway, I got in the car with them. Down we went and stopped at a hotel. And there was the singing and the guitars were going and the booze was out. It was 22 Cape Bretoners that had driven down from Fort McMurray. The 22 of them had rented 2 rooms. So we went in, and thank God he realized that it wasn't any of my players. So, and I would say that we had a lot of fun on the road at different places for sure. And the athletes I know are appreciative. With this nomination and selection, I must have had 40 calls. For some players that I haven't seen in 45 years. The national championship we won probably meant more to our community than we all realized at the time. We flew home, and there's probably 500 at the airport to meet us. And I tell you, to beat Red Deer, who we beat for the championship, basically we never played better and probably couldn't play better any time than that game. We took a 3-0 lead. We got tied up 3-3. Went into overtime. And the way we played out the rules those days, you played a 10-minute overtime regardless. It wasn't sudden death or sudden victory. So we scored first in the overtime, 4-3. Red Deer come back and tied it up. We're in overtime with 1 minute and 10 seconds to go. We take a penalty. So, oh my God, what are we going to do? So anyway, we sent out who we felt were the four best players for us to kill a penalty. And we asked Kevin, our best skater, to stand handy their defenseman if he got the puck, and that we would try to throw it up the middle and give him a breakaway. Well, darn if it didn't work. He broke up, went up the ice, deked their goalie, and tucked it in the net. And it'll always stay with me. But you know what? All 22 guys remember it. And I could give you all kinds of examples. It probably wasn't the most talented of that team I took. But going into the overtime, Joey Andrea, who was one of our stars, said to me, "Coach, you don't need to talk to us before we go to overtime." I said, "You sure, Joe?" "No," he said. "You leave it with me." So I decided even I would go back in the room for overtime just to remind them that this is a lifetime-changing moment for you. And all of a sudden, I could hear the singing. Joey was leading them in "We Are an Island." And those that know anything about Cape Breton, that's our national anthem. And you could almost feel the feeling through the door when they come back out for the overtime. And we certainly bonded as a team. And we've had a 35-year reunion. We have one deceased member, but all the rest of them were at the reunion. We've been inducted into the Cape Breton Sports Hall of Fame on a number of occasions. Last year, we were honored at the Junior League. Quebec Junior League honored us at one of their games. So we keep very close care with each other. And that's sort of true with all of the athletes of various years. I just hope, and I'm asked to speak a lot to different groups, that the athletes truly appreciate the facilities they have today, the coaching they have today, the medical things they have today, because a lot of people setting out in this kind of audience continues to make sure they have one of the best experiences in collegiate athletics. You should be proud of that, and you're probably not told it enough. But you are very important people, and your organization should be very proud. It's got a proud tradition and a proud history that I know some of you are certainly aware of. But I think, and I love the CCAA experience for my student athletes. Thank you very, very much.